Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this video, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone GMS, who rule well and teach well and taught us His truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with you brothers laboring all throughout the four winds of the earth. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash, Barakatham to you brothers. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And the title of this lesson is, no matter how much they want it to go away, war talk is going to continue to pop up. Alright. This is Iran war. Tehran targets American military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait. It says in renewed fighting overnight, the U.S. launched strikes on Iranian targets as punishment for attacks on tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has targeted U.S. military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait in retaliation. So let's see if this will play. This is just some key points. U.S. launches powerful strikes on Iran. More than 80 targets hit. NATO chief says strikes were absolutely necessary. Iran says 85 sites, U.S. sites targeted in Bahrain and Kuwait. Earlier warning of crushing response. U.S. strikes are punishment for Strait of Hormuz attacks. So it says Iran war day 130. What to know? The fighting restarts. The U.S. and Iran have traded new attacks. The U.S. military began a series of powerful strikes on southern Iran at around 10 p.m. last night. After vowing a crushing response, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says it targeted 85 U.S. military sites in Bahrain and Kuwait. It described the U.S. attacks as a ceasefire violation, which Babylon the Great constantly violating. Says U.S. allies under attack. The Kuwaiti military said its air defenses were confronting hostile missile and drone attacks, while missile alert sirens sounded in Bahrain overnight. Trump at NATO. The strikes come as the U.S. president attends a key NATO summit in Turkey. Trump renewed his criticism of the military alliance as he arrived in Ankara yesterday, saying he was very disappointed it did not support his military campaign in Iran, and that allies did not spend enough on defense. Must be a typo. Responding to the U.S. strikes this morning, Mark Rutte, the chief of the military alliance who is working to keep Trump on side, described them as absolutely necessary. Let's see if this is any different. No, it's the same. looks like. Small boats. They are a big step in what has been a worryingly calm period, right? Because things go up and down, right? Like the scriptures speak. Though it tarry, wait for it. It shall surely not tarry. I've had a number of conversations with people who have said it's calm and that troubled us. So in a sense, it feels like the calm weather has broken and the storm is now pouring down. Alright, it says followed by an inevitable response by Iran.
And Adam, just bring us up to speed on what's happening in Kuwait and Bahrain. What's the Iranian response to all of this?
Well, Iran has said that it has launched around 85 attacks, missile attacks on Bahrain and Kuwait. We know that air defense sirens have been sounding there. We don't know the extent, the actual number of these attacks. There's sometimes a discrepancy, frankly, between the number of missiles Iran says it has sent and the number that are actually reported as having been intercepted. But quite clearly, this is a big step up in what had been until these attacks a worryingly calm period. I've had a number of conversations with people here who have said it's calm and that troubles us. So in a sense, it feels like the calm weather has broken and a storm is now pouring down. The question, obviously, is to what extent is this a blip? A retaliatory exercise by the United States followed by an inevitable response by Iran, or is this going to be another escalation? I think we're seeing a fairly familiar pattern playing out here, which is that Iran tries to take control of the Strait of Hormuz. The ships that were attacked were using the southern half of the strait. In other words, they were sticking close to Oman. Iran has said that that is not acceptable for reasons that have never been explained. Attacked these ships. The United States then attacked around 80 targets within Iran, and Iran is now responding, attacking not Israel, its normal foe, but Bahrain and Kuwait. Why? Well, two reasons. One, it's attacking American sites, but the other reason is that Iran has seen two connected things. One is the power of closing the Strait of Hormuz for the world, and the second is the extent to which Gulf nations are themselves very dependent on shipping their oil and through the Strait of Hormuz, and particularly liquid natural gas, which is very hard to send in a pipeline, especially if you haven't built one. So they're trying to paralyze the economy of the Gulf. They're trying to once again tighten the effect on the world economy. And remember that the United States has also reimposed sanctions on the sale of Iranian oil. Now, Iran says all of this is a breach of the deal, the memorandum of understanding that it signed with the US, a document that has been discussed, debated, clearly breached by both sides, but which is still the basis of a, inverted commas, peace deal between the US and Iran. I think it's always worth reminding ourselves that the Strait of Hormuz was flowing freely up until the point when the United States and Israel attacked Iran. That first day of attacks, of course, killing the Ayatollah, and it is his funeral that continues the long celebrations of his life and the funeral procession that have been dominating public life in Iran for the best part of a week now. And the US had said it wouldn't attack Iran during that time. Well, that agreement has come to an end. So much of the memorandum of understanding is under strain. And of course, this happening during the NATO meeting as well. So the next question, the outstanding question here is, what happens next? Will the US respond again? Will Gulf nations want a further attack, or will everyone try to de-escalate? And at the moment, it's a hard one to call. I suspect de-escalation would be most people's preferred choice, but this is such a volatile time in a volatile region, it is hard to predict.
Reaction on the recent US attacks on Iran, and why don't you feel that this will overshadow this summit?
Well, I think it was absolutely necessary because when you have a ceasefire and Iran is basically violating the ceasefire, we see what happened yesterday with ships being attacked. I think it is totally crucial that the US forcefully reacts.
This is just different information based off of that. Go get some precepts. Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. So, it's biblical prophecy. Esau, Edom is going to get turned on. Right? All these other nations that, once looked towards Babylon the Great with, admiration, now they look, with hatred, like their enemies. Says, shall I not, in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mountain of Esau. So, he ain't gonna be on top forever. Alright? Yet, these other nations aren't gonna take the place of number one, so to speak. Right? That's going to the Israelites. The kingdom is going to be transferred from Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is going to be transferred to the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. It says, and thy mighty men of Timon shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. So yeah, that's your end. Not, being technologically advancing and test tube babies and, robots, sex change robot, all types of wicked shit. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And look what they're doing to the Israelites, man. See, these other nations should know how Esau gets down by how he treats us, by how he treats the Israelites. So these other nations, they're seeing how we get treated. They're seeing how this place is being ran. And they are totally against this place. Yet, them as a nation have been completely jacked up. All these other different nations, basically they all want to be like Edomites. So they've already been conquered, so to speak. Everybody dances to the beat of Esau's drum. Yet, Lord's will, we be of the elect. We dance to the beat of Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai's drum. Right, we don't do what Esau wants us to do. Now, of course, we obey laws. We, do what we got to do in the society. Yet, when it comes down to it, when they have this C-hip, right, we are going to resist the C-hip. Let's get the C-hip in the video. Revelation 13:16, he causeth all, Esau Edom causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the number of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Right, 666. Going into that, cutting into the flesh, that mark, which is a physical C-hip. Alright, which you won't be able to buy or sell unless you got that C-hip. Alright, it speaks about, those that are beheaded, for the Lord's sake, not taking the C-hip, right? If that's the option that, is on the table, then that's what we're going to take. If we had to choose between being beheaded and taking the C-hip, then we would rather be beheaded. Lord's will, we be of the elect. Right? Because things are getting worse and worse. And that C-hip is coming down the pipeline. That's coming soon. Right? Persecution of the men of the Lord. Right? The famine of the word. Right? All our warfare, pestilences, plagues. That's all coming soon. It's all coming around the corner, man. Just circling back to the title. No matter how much they want to try to, hide it and kind of push and kick the can down the road, it's getting worse and worse. Alright? Ultimately, these prophecies are speaking, man. Right? These prophecies are jumping off the page. Barakatah Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Alright, so with that, Lord's will, you are edified. Barakatah Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Once again, double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, GMS, who rule well and teach well, taught us His truth, as well as the sincere salutations to the elder bishops, along with all you sincere Akim. Alright, put your best foot forward through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. To you, I say Shalom, Kwam Yasharallah, and a Bible Ball. Shalom.